Hey there, greetings from Uganda. So we are looking at spiritual formation. What is spiritual formation? I loved how Willard started his article when he talked about that we are all being formed into something, and really we're being formed by something or someone, and it really just matters what voices we're listening to. There's many voices out there, I think we need to ask ourselves, who or what are we listening to? Uh, And so, as I just started reading some other books that I have, I came across Soul Shift by Steve Deneff and David Drury. And Steve talks about three things that will happen when we enter God's path of spiritual formation. And number one is that we'll be listening to the voice inside. Uh, what a gift that we all have of having the Holy Spirit there to speak and to guide. And so let's listen to that voice. And when we begin listening to that voice, a change happens deep in our soul at our core. And that's where the change needs to happen. That's where the formation needs to begin. And so we listen to the voice. Number two, the change happens deep in our soul. And then he says, number three, we patiently wait. The formation patiently waits for the results to show, for it to spill out. And it will if we do it God's way. I also am just starting to look at Peter Scazzero's book, Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. And Scazzero calls it an invitation to a deeper and wider relationship with Christ. And it's a journey into the unknown, but how exciting. And he talks about just like Abraham just went into the unknown. He followed God to wherever God would show him. And that's what this spiritual formation is. And it unleashes a revolution and it changes all of our relationships. And then also, just reminded of Dennis Kinlaw's book, The Mind of Christ. And Kinlaw calls this transformation or this formation a transformation back to the mind of Christ. And really, that's the way we were created to be, the image of God. And so that's my definition based on Philippians 2, based on these reminders, these resources we've been looking at, is that it's the Christian being formed into his or her intended creation, the image of God, allowing the Spirit to work in us, as Paul says, working in, and we are working it out. And it's a willingness to follow his guidelines, his path. So in closing, let me put it on this way. My son loves Legos. We play Legos all the time, and if you want to build a car, you have a choice. You can just grab a pile of Legos and start building, or you can follow the guidelines. So for me, if I want to build a car and I just start building my own way, I come up with something like this. This was my formation of a car. Yeah. Or you can follow the instructions. You can follow the guidelines, and you come up with something like this, a little cooler. And I think the professor should give bonus points if we know what movie this car is from. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.